Hi, this is Steve Adubato coming to you from the campus of NJIT, that's the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Why are we here? This is, in fact, the Voice Summit, sponsored by Amazon Alexa. You've got about 2,500 folks from all over the country, programmers, people involved in something called artificial intelligence, all about voice. What does voice mean in our lives today? What could and what will voice mean in our lives tomorrow? That's what the people are here talking about at NJIT at this Voice Summit. We'll be interviewing those folks and bringing everything you've ever wanted and needed to know about voice to you right now.
Hey, have you heard the news?
It's gonna be awful.
You can't be sure whose side someone's on.
If whatever happens, we all need to have our story straight.
We can't let them get away with it.
It's too much.
We have to think about our futures.
Maybe we should hear from someone with a little perspective.
What do you think? Should I tell the truth or protect myself?
Tell the truth.
Thank you.
Kevin Cornish, who's the founder of an organization called Conversa, which is?
So Conversa is a conversation engine for building face-to-face conversations. So imagine putting a face on Alexa. In the entertainment space, imagine having conversations with characters from your favorite shows. This is the API that allows all that to happen.
API?
Yeah.
What is 13 Reasons Why?
So 13 Reasons Why is Netflix's biggest show. And what they wanted to do to help launch the newest season was give fans a chance to step inside the world of the show. And to do that, we enabled this experience where you're getting FaceTime calls from the characters. So it's a voice-first movie that's set during the show. And it treats you just like you're one of the kids on the show.
Okay, an 18-year-old watching the show. He or she's watching it, but then they're interacting with the show how?
So the day before the show launched, there'd been a whole media build-up to this new season. There'd been all kinds of open-ended questions from the season before, big questions about what's going to happen in the next season. They get a link find it on Snapchat or in an Instagram story. They click in, then they start getting a FaceTime call from Tony, the star of the show. And Tony's telling them, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Whatever happens, stay out of it. And then over the course of the next 10 minutes, they're going to be getting calls from 7, 8 other characters on the show. And the decisions that they make about what to do is going to affect how the other characters respond.
The level of interactivity is totally different than anything that some of us, quote, back in the day ever experienced with media.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about everything that's happening with social media, you're at the center of the story. If you're watching Instagram, it's as much about what are the comments and what are the comments that you're getting back. It's the conversation about the conversation. But you're watching all these characters that have peripheral roles in your life, but at the end of the day, you're at the center of that story. So for big media companies that need to be in the business of making content, how do they put their fans at the center of the story? And you see this with the obsessive fandom on any of the big IP, that it's, I love these characters, I love this world, I want to be in it more. What can I be doing to get deeper into that?
How'd you get into this?
So the first thing I did was a thing with Taylor Swift. And there was a moment in...
She's a performer?
She is a singer-songwriter. You may know her from some of her early Nashville days.
And she's done some good things. But
she's done some very good things.
So what did you do with Taylor Swift?
So I was doing a couple videos, and then on one of the shoots, I got to shoot with a 360 camera. And this was maybe 4 years ago, so the technology was really early. But there was a moment where she looks in the camera and starts talking to the camera. And then watching back on the headset, it felt like she was talking to me. And this idea of having a conversation with someone that you would never be able to meet in the real world was this very inspiring thing, because the possibilities and thinking about what is it that fans want and what is it that's important. It's this idea of I can make eye contact with somebody, I can use my voice. When I'm tapping like this, it's like muscle memory, it's not human communication.
Yes.
And so the bonds that can be created by using my voice, making eye contact, using my mirror neurons, it creates a deeper level of engagement. So one of the most fascinating things from 13 Reasons experience is that we could see who is interacting with voice and who is interacting with tap. And the people that were interacting with voice were engaged twice as long.
They stayed on longer.
Yeah. So the average time in the experience across the world in 17 different countries was 4 minutes and 45 seconds when they were using their voice.
Tap.
When they were tapping, 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
What does that tell you?
It means that there's something else emotional happening when we're using our voice. And that it's less mechanical, it's less of an automated, it's more, this is how humans have wanted to communicate for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yep.
And it's getting back to this, it's being the most user.
You know, you're way too young. I hate when people say that. They don't say that to me much anymore, but you're way too young to remember what you may have read about Marshall McLuhan, who said what about the message? I'm thinking the medium's the message. That's exactly what you just said. I don't think Marshall McLuhan was thinking about voice.
Right.
But he was largely talking about television versus radio, but you're really saying the same thing. You're saying that the medium by which the information and the content is distributed matters as much as the content itself.
Yeah.
And our ability and our desire to engage in it with it. Am I making too much of that?
Yeah, and how we relate to it. That
What do you
when we
mean, how
talk
relate
to
to
each
it?
other, we're connecting emotionally. We're creating a bond. And that when we're talking to our entertainment or talking to whatever it is that we're experiencing, we're bonding with it.
Okay, sorry for
not
interrupting.
just learning from it.
Okay, stay on this. We're having this conversation.
Yeah.
It's on public television, it's on FiOS, it's on a lot of radio platforms. Okay, fine. Say we were to use the concepts you were just talking about right now. We're talking. We want to engage people watching right now. We're breaking all the walls down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the,
Could it work in a talk show?
absolutely.
Really?
Well,
Well, then what do I do?
there is an art to asking questions.
Oh, now you're going to, after 25 years, you're going to tell me, please tell me.
Well, the people on the other side of the screen aren't conversation artists.
But how do we, I don't want to belabor this, but I am curious. How do we get them, right, more engaged in this?
That they play is a role-playing game for them, and they get to play the character of you. So think about it like this.
Go ahead.
You have a great conversation with somebody.
You.
You kind of go away from it, you remember it.
Yes.
What defines a great conversation? Great questions make great conversations. Most people don't have great conversations. That they have these kind of baseline conversations, superficial, it's not really very interesting, and as a result, it's forgettable. And so they go through their lives having one conversation after another that's forgotten. But if they could step into your shoes and have the conversation the way that you would have the conversation, now all of a sudden they're having a memorable experience. And that they're remembering something, not remembering something that they saw, but remembering something that they did.
They didn't just witness it, they participated in it.
Exactly.
And it is doable even in this venue.
This is a great venue. It'd be prompting the questions for them and giving them a choice of questions, but it'd be giving them a choice of good questions.
Well said. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by the Northward Center, St. Joseph's Health, PSC&G, TD Bank, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and by MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.